Okay, evaluating expressions and order of operations. So hopefully this is a review, but just in case it's not, wanted to go over it. So we have vocab that we need to know, variable, right, which is like a letter or just something that we use where we want to put in a number. Expression is something that uses variables. Evaluate is when you're trying to like find the value of something. We can also call this plug and chug. Power, exponents, so just knowing how exponents work. Okay, so evaluate each expression when n equals 3. So let's start with n minus 2. So if n equals 3, we're going to replace the variable with 3. So, right, evaluate is like plug and chug. So we're plugging in 3 and then chug. Chug means like calculate. So we have 3 minus 2 equals 1. Not so bad. Okay, and then we have 5n plus 2. So we're going to plug in 3 for n. So 5, 3 plus 2. Remember, when we have two numbers next to each other, that's the same thing as saying multiply. So we have 15 plus 2 equals 17. Okay, write the power in words and as a product. So product and power are vocab words. Product is like things multiplied together. So let's do 8 to the third and x squared. So if we were to write this in words, it would be 8 to the third power. And then as a product, we could write it as 8 times 8 times 8. And then we could simplify that. We could make sure that it's reduced simplified. And you can use your calculator. That equals 518. This one, we have x to the second power. We could also, for this, we could also say cubed. And this we could also say squared. So we would write that as x times x. That's the product form. Okay, so order of operations, again, another vocab word. We're going to use GEMDAS. I learned PEMDAS, so whatever you feel comfortable with. But G is for grouping. E is for exponents. This is multiply, divide. And this is add and subtract. These we do from left to right. So grouping is all the things that you need to do first. So oftentimes we think of parentheses or brackets. We can think of a fraction bar where we have to do everything in the numerator and then do everything in the denominator. We could think of a radical, right? Something inside a square root. We could also think of absolute value. So if you see an absolute value, you have to do everything inside of it first. Exponents is pretty simple. You want to do an exponent right after the grouping. So an exponent is the same thing as like a power, right? So we want to do 8 to the third. For example, if I had 3 times 4 squared, I'd want to do the 4 squared first, not the 3 times the 4. So it would be 3 times 16, not 12 squared. Multiply and divide. This is the next one that we do, and we do it from left to right, right? So if I have 5 times 2 times 1 divided by 10, we just do it in order. So we would do 10 times 1 divided by 10. 10 divided by 10 equals 1. I wouldn't do it in any other order from left to right. It's not a very good example, but yeah, just do it from left to right. And then add and subtract is last. So we do, let's say like 5 plus 2 minus 4 times 8, right? So this you would do first, and then you would do it in order. 5 plus 2 minus 32. 7 minus 32, negative 25. So something to think about when you're doing left to right is to know how to know that 5 minus 2 is the same thing as 5 plus negative 2, right? These are the same. So you want to make sure you recognize that when you're doing order of operations. Okay. Simplify each expression. So we have 325 plus 5 squared all over 50. And then over here we have 820 minus 9 minus 5 squared. Okay, so for this one, we're going to start with grouping. So we have to do the numerator first. So now within this numerator, we don't see any other grouping. The next one we do is exponents. So first we're going to start with numerator. This is a GEMDAS. So we have 325 plus 5 squared. 2, we're going to do exponents. So we have 3 times 25 plus 25. Then we do multiply. 75 plus 25. And then 4, we do add. 100. So this is the numerator, and now we can do the whole thing. So now we go back and we do division, right? 100 divided by 50 equals 2. So with this one, we didn't add before divide, but that's because this add was part of this numerator group, right? So we had to do the numerator before anything, and so that's why this last step here in the numerator was before this division step. Okay, let's look here. So we see some grouping. So we have this group that we have to do, and then within it we have this group. So 1, we're going to do grouping. So 820 minus 4 squared. And then we're still, so we did that grouping, and now we need to do the bracket grouping. So 2, we're going to do exponents. So 820 minus 16. And then 3, we're adding. So these two can almost go into that, right? Maybe I should like put them indented. Oh, this is subtraction. Multiply 32. So this is outside of the group, right? So we did all the group, and then we did the 8 on the other side. So it's 32. So this just takes some practice if you're not good at this, but hopefully this isn't too challenging. All right, evaluate. So remember, evaluate, we're thinking plug and chug. So we have 6y squared minus 13 when y equals 4, and b cubed minus 21 over 5b plus 9 when b equals 3. All right, so you can take a second, try and do these on your own. You can pause the video and then come back and check. So we have 4 squared minus 13. We're going to do exponents first. 16 minus 13. I'm just going to do it on the side here, even though I could use a calculator. 36, 9, 96 minus 13, and then we have 83. And here, we're going to plug in 3, plug in chug. So we want to do our numerator first. So we get 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, minus 21. Our denominator is 15 plus 9. Our numerator is 6. Our denominator is 24. And then we have to simplify it. So this is equal to 1 over 4. All right, last two problems with the notes. We have 1 plus 5 squared plus 5. H minus k, 2 minus 2. Use h equals 4, k equals 2. So again, you can pause the video and try it. So first we're going to do our grouping. So we have 6 squared plus 5. Then we have our exponent, 36 plus 5, and then 41. Here we're going to plug and chug. So we have h is 4, k is 2. And now we do our order operation. So 2 minus 2 is 0. And then we do multiplication before the subtraction. So 2 times 0 is 0. 4 minus 0 equals 4. So that's all. Not so bad. You can practice, and I'll post the odd answers for the practice sheet.